So welcome back to part two of our conversation about mental health with Polly. Conversations about mental health with Polly. Apologies if the noise is very shaky. I'm back at Gratitude, a beautiful restaurant in Modderfontein. There's some beautiful views, hence we are sitting outside. We are all about nature, as you have picked up from our conversation. So we are sitting outside, and I hope our sound is better now in part two. So we left off Bestisange. You were not aware. Ne? So yes, so what are some of the unhealthy boundaries that affect mental health?
Um, it's quite a number from our environments to begin with, our spaces, our immediate spaces, families, for example, mental health conditions, especially like depression, it even affects like kids to begin with. And we hardly focus on that. We always talk depression, mental conditions to adults, but also children. So mostly it's triggered by, or the foundation normally goes back to home. Unhealthy spaces, whether toxic parents. So when I say toxic parents, also some are not even aware that they are toxic or that they're carrying their own mental baggage that then they pour out to their children. So environment plays such a huge role when it comes to our mental condition. Our workspaces also. Most people dread and loathe their workspaces because of how it contributes to their well-being overall. You hear people that like come Monday. I think that's where the term Blue Monday came also from. Because if you love your workspace, you wouldn't call it. You wouldn't call it. You wouldn't have a Blue Monday. It would be a sunny Monday. Imagine if we lived in a sunny Monday. But workspaces.
And toxic colleagues.
Toxic colleagues, also our toxic bosses. I mean, like most people are terrified, scared of their bosses. So you find people that have healthy spaces, workspaces, healthy minded bosses, they thrive and they become better. And then another one I always say that we are not paying too much attention on is social media. Social media is a beast that is
one of the reasons why people have this facade, because now one is me too, I have it, or me too, I can.
My hashtag perfect this, perfect life, perfect kids, perfect work, perfect cooking, perfect clothes, perfect body, perfect everything. You understand? I always say before there was social media, I believe there was lesser cases also of people going through depression and all of those things, because you didn't know who was wearing what, who was earning what, who was driving what, who was hashtag love this here, hashtag this, hashtag this. But social media has added so much unnecessary pressure. So I believe that those are the things that we need to actually look into fixing our environments, fix our social media footprint. There's nothing wrong with unplugging, to reboot, to regroup. Social media will go on without you.
And clean your house. Who are you following? Who's following you? And why?
And also check your feelings. How you feel when you're going through the timeline. Because I mean, certain timelines invoke different emotions, different thoughts, and everything.
And there's also thing about if you are on those platforms, you are chasing likes. Even the people that like your photo don't actually like you. They are just liking it, maybe buying face. This thing of wanting to be liked or validated by other people because you don't like yourself. Now you want to
seek it out there. For people that do not care. I mean, it's just a click away. They click and then they move on. And then when the clicks are not happening, what is that doing to you?
It also goes to show that there's a lack of a relationship with your maker.
So social media detox, I think it's something that we need to do once in a while, And I was saying the other time when I had done a social media detox, I'm like, oh, wow, interesting. I don't know who's eating what. I don't know who's wearing what, but life moves on. I was fine. And back to childhood, where you go play with your friends, and then when you all split up, you don't know what's happening in their home, and you're still fine. So we need to be able to. So some of the things that we want to know about, like really, is like, what are you running from to run there? What are you getting there? You understand? So the illusion that we are creating out there, like people want to live their reality to escape, but it's a thin line when you are in charge of that escape. You know that, okay, I'm going in for however long, just because, not because you are running away from people. Some people don't want to listen to their thoughts. Some people don't even know what their thoughts are.
Yeah. And why? Why must I run away from myself?
Because you're delaying the process. You run away now, then you're creating a bigger of a gap. So by the time when you're supposed to be meeting with self, there's so much of a distance that you need to go through to get to self. But if you were running towards self, like as often as possible, then it's easy to get together.
I like telling people that my me time is not about tea. Those who know I think it's just about tea.
Same here.
It's not about tea, it's about connecting with myself, checking my imperfections as well. Introspection, where did I go wrong? Who did I offend? Where can I improve? It's about taking stock of what's going on in and God, listening to God, and being in a space of being quiet, allowing God to speak to you.
And another thing is we also evolve. You cannot say that what used to work 5 years ago or 2 years ago. That's another thing that we treat ourselves as like, oh yeah, well, I know.
In my 30s, it was
No. You're changing. You're dealing with different things. So your approach should always be up to par as to who you are and where you are. As you also take on sometimes different roles, as become a mother, you become a wife, you become like an aunt, a sister, or whatever other role, then it calls for different you. So you can't always be thinking like, I know.
Exactly. And you need to allow yourself to grow into those roles as well. Not to say now you are changing, you're forgetting who you are. No, it's about maturity as well.
And communicate those changes also to the people that you're coexisting with, because that's another thing. People are so quick to make assumptions because of who they know you to be. So sometimes if you don't give a heads up, good say, and that girl, she moved out.
Yeah. Also, I think it's going to be a very long journey. I'm on a journey of unlearning a whole lot of things I've learned as I was growing up. So it's going to be a very long journey, and it needs for me to be in a quiet space because there's things I know now about myself that I didn't know before, and things that I thought they were true then, they are not true. They're not necessarily me. And who taught me those things? So it's very important to take stock yourself, your environment, where you place yourself as well, and who you allow in your space.
Especially as you're saying that with this year, with this pandemic, unlearning is not a luxury. It's a must. It's a must because life showed us it's not like we've known it before.
Actually,
So here's to unlearning. Together.
So, like I said, I believe that working out for me is connected to the body, is connected to the mind, hence I can't stress it enough. So what are some of the activities you would say some people can engage in to balance out this mental health? You love hiking as well.
I like
hiking. I think it's for both of us, it's physical,
ecotherapy and when you sweat, you're not just sweating water, but you're releasing so much, So we all need outlets. So one firstly is to find an outlet that is best suited to their personality, because that's another thing that we like to take outlets of other people and think that they're gonna work for us, and then kind of not, And also another thing is we need to find outlets that don't cost money, because this year as it is, finances are for most of us, So we need to be honest enough that what, it's not about money. Best find outlets that do not cost money. Because as you say, we are physical beings. It doesn't mean gym though. It can be like a walk around the neighborhood. As you were saying, as long as it's safe, go take a walk. And sometimes not just about you also. Take your spouse, take the kids. A change of environment, with everything that we've been going through this year. Our homes are not that safe space for most of us because it became prisoners. Prison, as I say, we were held prisoners in our homes.
And we can't blame each other now if now I'm behaving somehow.
No.
I'm in prison.
No.
Take me out. You know? Yes.
So home right now, most of us, we feel like we were cooked beds, you know. So taking a walk is one of the best things, the cheapest things that you can do. Find a park around. Like I'm not promoting the store in any way, but find things like a crazy store.
Yeah.
They've got board games,
Yes.
they've got artwork, they've got even cards.
I love gardening as well. I think
Gardening?
it is nature. I love gardening. I love plants. I also find that there's some healing elements in well, nature. You know,
There's so much baking, and we're not talking about having to do fancy things
No.
where you have to break the bank.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody's a Nigella. Not please just stay in your lane. It's about there's so much therapy in creating. Go to the craft stores, get some beads, do something. Even coloring books for the child in you.
there's also for adults. Right?
You see?
You know about those? I have
I've heard about it.
3.
Is it?
Yes, and a pack of crayons. When I don't feel like reading, I take my book and
And
I
it disappear into it.
I promise you, and it's a big page that you can color it anyhow. And then when you're done, obviously you're not gonna finish it in one go, but when you're done, you see the beauty.
Beautiful.
Oh wow! So it's small little things like say you don't need to go break the bank. Small little things.
And also, you know what? I always find like at night, most people want to be indoors at night, but there's so much beauty of nature even at night. Staring up into the sky, looking at the stars, being able to tell that there's no stars tonight.
Yes.
Most of us, we coexist here during the day, but we hardly look up. The air is beautiful at night. It's like fresh. Take out a chair, sit outside.
yeah.
I mean, share childhood stories. I mean, 2020 should have taught us the importance also of bonding. Growing up, telling stories is nganekwane. Why don't you do that?
And your grandmother would even listen to a story from a radio.
So, like some of the stories you can even create sometimes.
Yes,
Like you lead each other on.
yes.
You say one sentence, the other person takes on. But like it's in the simple things that we can do as families or as individuals, and also reaching out to family members that we do not stay with, especially most of us cannot travel already. You cannot travel. Let's check on each other. Like, let us use this technology for the greater good now. Let's use the social spaces also for the greater good. So, So there's so much that we can do that does not cost much to help us keep our sanity. Because I always say, antidepressant, we've been told that it's supposed to be a pill, but the antidepressant is anything that puts joy in your heart, that makes you happy. It can be a bath for some people, just disappearing into a bath,
You don't need water in the tap. Don't need to be booked into a spa. Let's uncomplicate this life. I always say as well that we were created for people. I can't make it on my own. I need you, hence I also need to check up on you and know that you are also doing well.
We're not
This year
islands.
It's about people. We're not islands. We're never created to now stand out and put others down, kind of thing. No.
We've been stripped down to what matters, to what life is supposed to be about. Not about titles, not about things, but it's about
Realness.
and that's it.
Mask off.
We need to be there for each other.
Mask off. It's time to mask off people.
And taking charge of our mental health again, because as I said in the beginning, once we take care of the mind, then the mind is gonna take us to places that we were not gonna be able to do. We think mind is gonna take us to certain places,
It might,
but
they
only-
always say money can't buy you, what is it, happiness or love or whatever. But it's true. You can go to these fancy places. Are you happy? Not really. Wow, babe. Thank you for this. I always like asking people. I know this is a surprise question. I always like asking people what defines you. You are such a beautiful person inside out. I've learned so much within this short space. What defines you?
what defines me? Jesus, how long do I have? to answer that question.
As long as you want.
I think more than anything, what defines me is the footprint that I leave
Yeah.
wherever I am, to whoever. I don't want to be remembered by how I look, by how I'm dressed,
Or
but
what you drove.
what I drove. I want to be remembered by how the person felt, what the person took. You know, energies.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not even about the words, what I said, but it's how I looked at you, you know. So what defines me is the footprint that I leave
Leaving
in.
people better than you found them. Oh my goodness. Wow.
That's my biggest thing. And I always say it's got nothing to do with somebody's watching, there's a camera, anybody else, but it's also about what God has called us to do. Fruits of the Spirit is my biggest thing. Fruits of the Spirit. So wherever I go, I want to live. Is it joy? Is it love? Is it kindness? But it needs to align with that. So that's fruits of the Spirit.
Wow. So profound. There are people like this in the world. Wow.
And there's people like you in the world.
Well, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Now, please, before you leave, tell us more about your clothing line. She has a clothing line too, and I am so hooked. This beautiful outfit she's wearing is one of her pieces. So please tell us more about that.
Okay, my clothing line, the name is Indigenously. I know it sounds like a mouthful, Indigenously.
I will have to make sure that they see.
It's the clothing line is more of your contemporary African print clothing wear.
Yeah.
Any day, every day, anyhow. I find like I'm such a colorful person.
Yeah.
So I find that African print stamps that perfectly. Like you hardly find any African print, I guess, fabric that is plain.
Yes.
So it speaks about who I am before anything.
Yeah.
Even those that have got muted colors, but because of the print maybe or the play of the color, but there's something. So the clothing line, I always say how it came about. I call it a rebirth. It was birthed while I was still going through my journey with early menopause and depression when I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Then I had to find stuff to do in the middle of the night when the world was sleeping. You know what they say about idle hands? It was either I get on social spaces and just always be wasting time. I could, anyway, I don't drink, I do not smoke, but I felt that during the time I could have self-destructed. So I had to find something to do with my time, with my hands. And then the clothing line, that's how it came about. So for me, it's more than just clothes. It was a lifeline. It's something that gave me hope. So I always say with my garments, sometimes I talk to my garments as they come into be, that may the person that is gonna be adorned in it, that's gonna wear it, they may get the peace, they may feel the love that came with it. Because also the clothing line is not about chasing sales. As I said, I've got other things that pursue, like Maskoff and everything. I'm glad if I've made sales, but to me, like the clothing line is more about love, joy, and also good workmanship. I do not compromise on the finishings, on the details, just because I want
Not quantity but quality.
just because I want to sell a number of units. I'd rather delay releasing a clothing range and have it perfect so that whoever that wears it, they wear it with pride. I know that it's my name at the end of the day that is there. So integrity also, fruits of the Spirit yet again, that even in the business space, we need to not cut corners.
So important. Wow. How beautiful. I can sit here and talk to you this whole day.
Me too.
This whole day.
Oh,
but
me too.
We have families to go back to.
And it's a Sunday.
Thank you for today, babe.
Thank you for your time.
Bye.
Thank you so much for your time. I don't know what else we can talk about, but I'm looking
so
forward to
Thank
seeing
you
you
so much,
again.
yes.
Oh, this is so beautiful.
So we shall be seeing Ukodi more and more. Okay, as I am also jumping on her movement now as well, uninvited, right inside.
Sisonke
I don't need no
togetherness.
invitation because when authenticity calls, I am there. So thank you, babe.
Thank
you so
you.
much. And God bless you. God bless the work of your hands and prosper you in all your ways. You have such a beautiful heart. And I want that to go a long way. We need people like you in this world. We really do. We also need people like Dee who connects people. You know, so bless her as well. And a big thank you to you, Dee, for this connection. God bless you guys.
Thank you.
And see you later. You know, as we are masking off.
Masking off. You finally got